I've lived 1,000 lives. I've piloted 1,000 souls. I've killed and fought and died just for another role.
This is the Happy Jacks RPG podcast, a roundtable discussion that's a mix of friendship, humor, unbridled enthusiasm, and tabletop RPG topics sent in from around the world.
Just for another role.
Hello, and welcome to Season 35, Episode 10 of the Happy Jacks RPG podcast. My name is Kimmy.
I'm Eli. Oh.
We did. Yeah, perfect. Yeah, absolutely. In today's episode, Aaron wants that spark back in his GMing relationship. Live at T asks if they screwed up during a LARP. And from the archive 2018, Alvarant shares a convention horror story. If you'd like to share with us a question or story, you can email us at happyjacksrpg@gmail.com. That's happyjacksrpg@gmail.com. Or if you don't want to use email, you can go to our Discord at happyjacks.org/discord and post in the mailbag channel. Both of those are equally efficient and effective is the word I was looking for, actually. And so, yeah, let us know. Send us stuff. It's fantastic. All right, announcements. Our next game days is March 29th. It's free to anyone, and you're welcome to join us. It's, again, on the Discord, happyjacks.org/discord. There's a great variety of games. There's 9 posted right now, and we have this weird quirk in our Discord where we have more GMs than players. So there's a lot of openings. If you want to come and play a game, there's some fantastic ones being offered. It's free. We have safety tools in place for everyone. It's a very welcoming, open, diverse community. So please come join us and play some games. That is happening March 29th, which is next weekend, next Saturday. So come play. And it sort of, like, depending on where you are in the world, it kind of spills into Friday and Saturday and Sunday because we have people in lots of different time zones and stuff. But it's fantastic. Really great. Also, FYI, if you're a Patreon, we've switched officially to the official Patreon monthly subscription plan, which should fix from the Apple drama and stuff, I guess. Also, one of the great things about that, too, is we actually, because they forced the change, we were able to keep our grandfathered in rate of like 5%. So that's actually comparable with all the other kind of like Ko-Fi and all the coffee or whatever it is, all the other ones. So we actually have a much lower rate than most people who are on Patreon, which is fantastic for us. So if you have been considering or reconsidering your Patreon support because of that, please know that we still get our very cool, very low rate, which is awesome. And yeah, if you can't, that's okay too. We also understand, but it does keep the lights on and the mini fridge full without me having to dip into my teacher salary. So we're doing good. We're doing good, friends. And also summer's coming and we have to run the AC quite a lot in the studio during the summer. Yes. Oh, yes. So much AC. All right. Indie Designer of the Month. Our Indie Designer of the Month is Jean-Luc from The Dungeon's Key. You can find his work on thedungeonskey.com or by searching their games on DriveThruRPG. You can also find them at The Dungeon's Key on Blue Sky. I'm not going to say .Blue Sky social or whatever it is. You can find them. You can do it. You can do it. I believe in it. If you're on Blue Sky, you already know how to do it. And if you're not, you should be there. And today's product we're going to talk about is Dirtbags. It's a sci-fi shooter TTRPG. Players take on the role of convicts in a corporate-run dystopian world, coerced into the Military Foundation's Rehabilitation Incentive Program, RIP, with the promise of freedom and reintegration. So it's like a Suicide Squad-ish in the sci-fi future.
Sweet.
Forced to endure relentless tours of duty, dirtbags are expendable, thrown at every problem imaginable, from distant alien bug infestations and scab pirates to suicidal salvage missions, courier work, and anything else that the corporate echelon demands. Dirtbags is designed from the ground up to be a flexible, cinematic, and fast-paced. It is rules light and combat heavy, putting character agency and tactics directly into the player's hands. The core system revolves around managing two 6-sided dice pools. The first pool is used for taking actions, while the second pool is used for ammunition. Roll as many or as few as you want. You're in control. The quick start is actually available for free at thedungeonski.com, and you can still late pledge the Kickstarter, which was part of Zine Quest, if you search for Dirtbags, a sci-fi shooter TTRPG on Kickstarter. Yeah, it was successfully funded, so that's cool. Like, very successfully funded, and it looks very, very cool. And I just backed it right while it was funding. I was like, oh, oops, I clicked a thing while I did that. I did money at this. Oh man, I've got to keep my super backer status.
Oh,
I think I'm like 112 projects or something on Kickstarter. I've
that's
backed.
wild.
It's not the most of my friends.
That is also wild.
Yeah, 100%. I feel like the adage of the TTRPG like indie creator community is basically it's the same pool of money that we're just passing around between us. Because we all just back too many other Kickstarters, and we're like, oh, here, I'll put money. All the money I was going to actually make, I have just given to all my friends. So, it is. And I don't know. I just see cool stuff, and I want to throw money at it so it can exist, even if I know I'll probably never play it. So, all right. So again, that was thedungeonskey.com, and Jean-Luc, very cool person, also big into supporting other indie designers. So yeah, support them.
Support.
Yes. All right, mailbag number 1. I think Eli, you volunteered for this one, right?
I sure did.
Okay.
Dear Happy Kimmy and her Mary Jacks. First of all, thank you, Kimmy.
What?
Yep, we're thanking. I have been listening since season 10.
Okay, it just says thank you in general. It doesn't specify.
Oh, well, I
Kimmy.
threw it in. Thank you, Kimmy.
Okay. Thank you.
I have been listening since season 10 and I've earned my backlog badge. It's a lot of B's. I've written before, but this is probably my first letter to get through. Huzzah!
Huzzah! It's because I'm in charge now.
Oh, okay.
No, I'm just kidding. I don't know. I have no
Wow.
idea why. Unnecessary shade.
I have a dilemma and need your advice. I just finished DMing the 16th session of a D&D campaign that started almost 2 years ago. We usually play monthly, but I have taken long breaks due to player issues. The original players are enthusiastic and even invited 2 more mutual friends to join, without even asking me. We are reaching a key point in the campaign, so I said they could play key NPCs in a crucial scene. That was quite interesting because they did not know what to expect. They did not know what I expected, and neither did the PCs. Chaos on toast. I was hoping to wrap up the current chapter so we could introduce the new players' characters.
I think chaos on toast is like my new favorite phrase.
Yeah, that's funny.
Chaos on toast. Yes, Vegemite is absolutely chaos on toast. Yes.
Yep. But we need to have at least one more session with them running those NPCs. The thing is I'm not feeling it anymore. I try not to spend too much time on prep, but I at least have to know what the adversaries can do. I rely completely on the players to know the abilities of their characters, and frankly do not care if they get the rules wrong as long as it keeps the game flowing. That is 1000% an Eli prep mentality. So I don't prep that much and try to keep the game moving despite it being D&D. The players all seem happy and want to keep going, but I left our last session feeling like I wanted to be doing something else. I play board games with these people too and would rather do that or try a different RPG. My question, though, it is not how to tell them I want to retire as a DM. I know how to do that, and we would still all be friends if I did.
That's good.
Mm-hmm. My question is, what can I do to rekindle my own enthusiasm for the game? I would love to try switching systems, but they are all on D&D. Since we play so infrequently, it's not a huge commitment, but I want to keep looking forward to our sessions again. Any ideas would be appreciated. If you like, drink.
Woohoo.
Aaron, D47 on the forums.
Woohoo.
Quotations.
R.I.P. the forums. I was lamenting today with a bunch of other TTRPG people who are all trying to leave Facebook about, like, I wish we could bring forums back. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so your group still loves D&D. You don't want to not be their DM. You just want to fall back in love with D&D. I feel like this is are you sure this is about TTRPGs? This isn't like a thinly veiled like relationship question, right? Because I am not qualified to help you with that. Mm. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Hold on 1 second, Vixie. They can't hear you.
I can hear my words of wisdom.
All right, they're inside.
Diamonds, rubies, pearls. No. Can you hear me now? I'm gonna be the Nokia commercial.
Good, not good.
Oh no. Will get me eventually. Hello, hi. Can anyone hear me? Is anyone out there?
Okay.
Okay. Damn, I'm louder than Eli. Yay! I was busy yelling. I was being a diva.
Okay. Everything's good. Everything's good.
Anyway, sorry. What I was saying is there is one question that you want to answer in this situation, and it is the game fun? And if the answer to that question is no, then it is time to go or put a pause on it.
Mm-hmm.
Because at the end of the day, we're not saving lives. We're not doing anything that requires a level of commitment that exceeds that specific thing. If you're playing and it's not fun anymore, then reconsider.
Mm-hmm.
Reconsider the situation. If the answer to that question is yes, I still have fun, I still enjoy it, then it might be a little bit of burnout. You've been at this for a while, and maybe you need a break. Maybe suggesting to the table that you play something, maybe another D&D campaign if your group likes D&D. Maybe try something new with someone else as the GM rather than yourself, and give yourself that opportunity to play.
Game days.
That
Sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
but yeah. So that might be a good option for you, but it all starts with that question. And I think that that's the question that needs to be answered first and foremost.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And I also think giving yourself some grace to be able to gracefully bow out and not
Mhm.
know that it's specifically on you. Because I think some people may think like, oh, everybody's fun is reliant on me, but you also need to make sure that you're advocating for yourself. And like, if you're feeling that burnout or you're not really feeling your story, like it's okay to take a step back. And I think you even said it in the mailbag in your question, like we usually play monthly, but have taken long breaks due to player issues. Well, you're a player too. So, make sure that you give yourself that time to recuperate and find your mojo again, if that's possible. If not, then there are other options you say you have. You have other RPGs and board games. So I think.
So, okay, I think I lied when I said that I'm not going to give you relationship advice because I think I am. So, anyone who's been in a long-term relationship knows that things can get this like routine. We'll call it routine. So it sounds like you're in a routine in your D&D relationship. So I don't know. I would maybe try and find a way to spice it up. Try something new. I'm not going to get any further into that metaphor, but
I
Right.
can keep my mouth shut.
but there's a lot of like D&D settings that you can use that have the basic mechanics underneath. Like if you've been doing something, try Eberron or something where you have a new world and a whole bunch of new lore and stuff to explore that still have the same mechanics underneath it that you and your players are going to be able to tap into, but give you a lot of cool new stuff to play with. Like, you have like magic in Eberron is completely different. The way the society's built on it and things like that. And yeah, it's just a really cool twist on things. And if that's not your jam, there's a bunch of other ones out there. Seems like there's like literally everyone and their parent has made their take on D&D or their adventure or their world for D&D or whatever it is. So
For sure.
that's what I would kind of look for.
But I
don't know.
think that also goes to the fact of the original question is, do I really still want to DM?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, they say they want to get their spark back. They say they don't want to quit as a DM. They don't, I know how to tell them. Like, they specifically say it's not how to tell them I want to retire as a DM. I know how to do that, and we would still all be friends if I did. My question is, how do I rekindle my own enthusiasm?
Right.
So,
And like,
yeah.
for me, it's taking a rest, stepping away from it, but not permanently. Like giving yourself the opportunity to play instead of planning, especially because I can hear the frustration in the whole NPC situation. Because and I mean, it goes down to like players, when you put things in players' hands, they will never, ever, ever do anything that you expect them to do. That's rule number one. So, if it's something that's very important that has to happen to the game, keep that in mind. Um, but at the same time, I'm also like, if it's not fun for you right now and you feel like you want to break, like taking a break is playing. Put the planning in someone else's court and don't shoulder that burden for a little bit so that you can rest, give yourself that break that you need, and come back refreshed to DM or GM the game again when you're ready to.
Yeah, I do want to call bullshit on them inviting players without asking you. Like
Yes.
that, like, no, that is not okay. Like, especially when you're like prepping and doing all that stuff. Like, I mean, it's cool that they are so enthusiastic about your game, but that puts so much work on your shoulders, especially because oftentimes, like, you don't specify, but oftentimes, especially for in-person games, the GM is like also hosting. Like, it's sometimes at their house.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, hey, we just invited these two other random people without really checking with you first. Like, no. I'm sorry, no.
Right.
And you were very kind. I don't know if I would have been as kind to like ride that wave and just be like, okay, they're NPCs now, and like, way to think on your feet. But yeah, that's just wild. Like, it seems like you need to have a little bit of a table culture talk, like in general. Like, they sound like a great group. They're very enthusiastic. They want to stick with D&D. But yeah, they have some boundaries issues perhaps, which might also be contributing to your burnout.
Right.
Because a lot of times in groups like that, the DM or GM has a lot more management to do and kind of a lot more like parenting to do. So you might also be burning out because of that too. So reflect on that and be like, am I burned out because of D&D? Am I burned out because of, some other thing? Or am I burned out because I'm constantly having to kind of micromanage or like read the room and stuff like that with this group because they're a little bit high maintenance?
Yeah, because I think just from Eli, the GM, non-prepping, like I was doing a playtest for Kimmy's Star Wars Starscape in a Star Wars, and there was going to be a big confrontation between Jim's character and his brother, who was going to be an NPC. And then Jim asked me, hey, can somebody play the brother? And I thought about it, and then I was like, no. Because like I think there's an extra level of stress to be like, I need these certain points hit in this kind of conversation. And like it could really dictate the flow of the game a little bit differently. So I could see that as extra stress if you had like these important NPCs that are now like, hey, they're PCs.
I agree with that. I think that I operate on like I call it the Time Lord because of a Doctor Who quote where there's fixed points in time that won't change no matter what you do. But if there's something, and that's kind of how I treat those events. Like if there's an event or a key point that has to happen within the game to pull the narrative forward, and it's driven by NPCs, that might but that might not be the best way to incorporate new players into the game. But at that point, I think I agree with Kimmy in that the conversation should have started with, hey, setting some boundaries and advising, like maybe inviting new people to the game at this point wouldn't be the best move. It might be better to start a new game or wait until this game finishes as well. So.
Yeah, and I know I was trying to help you with your actual asked question, which was how do I rekindle my love for D&D and this particular campaign? But literally, like, I have to also point out that one of your sentences is, I would love to try switching systems, but they are all in on D&D. So, yeah, it's sort of like beggars can't be choosers. Like, if none of them want to DM or run the game, like, I don't know, you wouldn't invite them over to your house for dinner and then have them dictate what you're going to make them, right? Like,
Mhm.
that's just, I mean, like, unless someone's like allergic to something, obviously that's
Right.
like the caveat there.
Right.
But like, you would say ahead of time, hey, I'm making this. Please come over if you would like to share with me, friends. And they would come or not. So I feel like you should maybe like, I feel like I'm switching to Vixie and Eli's side, which is like take a break or like
Mhm.
do what you want. Cause yeah, like you're putting in all this time and you're a player too. And yeah, if they're gonna want you to DM their game, then they need to kind of go along with what you want to do for a while. So
Mhm.
I would try and wrap up the stories that you've got going here, and then be like, "Hey, I'm gonna start prepping you now for hey, we're gonna play this next, whatever that
Right.
thing is that you want to run for them." But start like showing
Mhm.
them that path now. Don't like surprise them with it, but like
Mhm.
start mentioning it in the last few sessions of this campaign that oh, we're gonna play this next. Or, what are you
Mhm.
thinking of your character? Or do you think you're gonna keep playing? Or I don't know.
Mhm.
Just yeah, you stand up for yourself.
And also, I think that there's a quick like alleviation too, is because you said I think the first storyline was about to end, and like you can always say like, give yourself that breather of saying like, hey, let's take a break for a month or two.
Yeah,
Um, and then when we're coming back, like Kimmy said, just to prep them, start prepping them.
yeah,
Because
Yeah.
something else is coming. But
Yeah.
just make sure that at least give yourself that break.
Yep.
In between.
yeah,
And like while you're on that break, you can find that new system that you want to try. Like, is it a PBTA game? Is it a Blades game? Is it, for all I know, maybe it's Lasers and Feelings. Maybe you want to do something super simple. Who knows? You know, but anything that you want to try, so you can start doing that prep and being like, we're gonna play this next. I'm really excited about it.
Mhm.
But yeah, because I also think that there's kind of a fear of like leaving D&D because it's what we know, it's what we're familiar with, it's so mainstream.
mm-hmm.
And maybe sometimes easing people into a new system is a good way to go.
Yeah,
And with the amount of new systems that are out there that are getting more hype now, like you could be like, oh, Daggerheart, it's so cool. See, like it's Darrington Press, and throw some names in there and people get excited and
mm-hmm.
introduce them to that system. Or if there's another system that, is really well known, you can bring that up as well.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Going that route is usually a good start. It's like the gateway to other indie games,
Yeah,
you know?
mm-hmm.
Yeah, because I think like even like Dirtbags,
Mm-hmm.
which is our game of the month.
Yes.
I mean, it sounds like pretty like down and dirty, easy. You get to fuck shit up
Mm-hmm.
and have fun while doing it. So,
Yeah.
I mean, that seems like a good like little bridge to even do it one or
Mhm.
two sessions, just to like get something out of the way. Like,
Yeah.
here's another system, super easy,
Yeah.
super fun.
Mhm.
Let's go.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, heck, when we were on a break from another campaign, that's how I ended up playing Honey Heist and The Excellence from ninth
Yeah.
level games.
yeah,
Both of which I would never have played if we hadn't taken a break because the GM needed a break and wanted someone to take a turn GMing.
yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I think and it doesn't specify whether the group has experience with other stuff, but the
Mhm.
chat was also talking about like there's this default for people who've only played D&D that they just assume all of their systems are as complex and kind of hard to learn as D&D is.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not necessarily the case.
Mhm.
Now D&D isn't, once you get D&D, it's pretty easy to get D&D, like for lack of a better way of saying that. But yeah, a lot of them are much more rules light, and there's flavors of both ways. You can get much more crunchy, or you can get
Mhm.
less crunchy, whatever your group is looking for.
Yeah. I was
Uh,
about to say GURPS. Maybe we don't start with GURPS. Maybe we don't go there.
champions. Oh my gosh, yeah,
Oh God.
yeah, and yeah. But and like talk to them a little bit about where they like what world they'd want to play in. Like, do they want to build something from scratch themselves? Do they want to play in Middle Earth? Do they want to play in Star Trek? Do they want to play? Because that'll start giving you some direction too. And if it comes down to like, if you find yourself feeling really passionate, like, oh, I'd love to run something in Middle Earth, and maybe that like, excites you and makes you like, oh, okay, yeah, I'd love to run something in like. There are 5e like Free League makes a beautiful, spectacular Dungeons and Dragons, Lord of the Rings like book and
Yes.
system. I haven't looked at it because I play the One Ring, but I flipped through it and looked at the pictures, and it's very pretty. But so those are options too. So that might help like excite your D&D muscles or whatever.
Mhm.
Whatever. Either way. So while you're looking through their other systems, you might end up finding a splat book or setting that works with the D&D rules that
Mhm.
makes you excited too.
I mean, like you said, Kimmy, D&D adjacent content is very easy to find. I was immediately what comes to mind is Valda's Spire of Secrets, which is it's basically another D&D world setting. A lot of them are just that. So that's another simple way to change it up if for some reason you find yourself drawn back to D&D, but I highly advise trying something new. It's really fun and,
And I
it's
think
not that hard.
Yeah.
two is try to find the media of the world you like
Yeah.
and kind of just like
Mhm.
immerse yourself in it just so you can find hopefully like that little spark to be like, I really love when they're running through the cornfields in Lord of the Rings. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
or X, Y, and Z. Like, you know what I mean? Just so you can try to find that wonder again to be like, I really enjoyed this type of
Mhm.
thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. I want to be a magical girl. Girl by
Yeah.
moonlight. Here we go.
Yeah. I don't want to dump on D&D. It's not necessarily my preferred mechanics of choice generally, but they have beautiful stuff. It's very easy to access supplements for it as
Tools.
someone who's who's kind of the DM GM. Like, there's so much stuff that can help you have a low prep like campaign because there's so many adventures and all this stuff out there. There's also literally, like, no matter what IP fandom you have, somebody has tried to turn it into D&D somewhere on the
Yes.
internet.
Yes,
So
100%.
yeah, and that's like kind of one of the big benefits of it because it's the 800-pound gorilla in the room. Like, literally, if you want to play Firefly, I'm sure somewhere on the internet has found the way to make D&D into Firefly. Like, all these
Exactly.
IPs have their own systems, which I highly encourage people to go look at. But like it's also all kind of sucked in. Eventually, D&D sucks everything in.
Mhm.
It's like
so-
Starbucks.
Yeah, or a black hole. Yes. Yes.
Huh.
I love your first go-to with Starbucks. I'm like picturing like
Just,
a tornado or a black hole.
Yeah, I'm sitting there like all your base are belong to Starbucks.
Yeah.
That old meme from way back in the day.
Yes, exactly.
So,
Wait, Vixie. Wait,
Mhm.
what was that meme from back
it
in
was
the day?
said it's something that all your base are belong to Starbucks or something is what the picture said with a picture of Starbucks.
And
I
that's
feel like it was a gamer meme a long time ago.
I'm
but yeah.
gonna sit here and desiccate into dust like the gifs about that, like someone just turning into dust and blowing away.
Oh my god. I'm sorry.
As someone who, yeah, so it's originally all the base are belong to us, Vixie. Just gonna,
Mm-hmm.
oh boy, okay, moving on.
It's like, oh no, it's the I'm old.
Yeah, it's fine. We love you anyway.
Oh no.
Youthful, hydrated skin. It's fine. Okay,
You should
male
just
pet
become an
too.
eldritch horror like me. It's fine.
Yes. Mailbag 2. Vixie, you can get to read this.
Yay! Let me go ahead and read this. Okay. Okay. Hi, I'm Livet T. I run 2 homebrew ruled LARPs and have DM'd for about 3 years. My dad, I'm gonna do my best to pronounce this because it could be French. Houndin, yeah, Dad, I just said your name because you listened to this. Helped me learn DMing with his 30+ years of D&D.
Amazing. I just
So-
want to point out too, this is
Mhm.
not the first time that we have had the child of a listener
Aw.
become old enough during the course of their parent listening
To bring up memes?
to
Oh,
write to write into the show and then call out their parent like, haha, you're listening to this and you didn't know I was going to email. It's very cute.
Haha. I
Yeah.
have the high ground. Anyway, so I'm here to ask if I was in the wrong in this situation or where I can improve more. Based in one of my LARPs, it is very much silly based and supposed to be a break from IRL and serious LARPs and RPs. The LARP I'll refer to as WWC. In WWC, I have mods that help organize players, and I allow them to, with permission of course, add lore, as I love hearing people's ideas and making things work off them. One of my mods, that I will be referring to as H, kept adding things that changed the RP drastically without asking and arguing my notes multiple times. He even added Vitas Carnis, which I thought was a sausage until just now. Yes, the analog horror series. I need to look this up because I didn't know that that's what that was. Without permission, and after he asked while I was sleeping. After he asked while I was sleeping, basically, he asked and then did it anyways when he didn't get a response, is what it sounds like. H also complained about that the main plot was being slowed down. Sadly, on my 21st birthday, H put me in a panic due to me saying for adding new things without asking, players get 3 strikes and mods get 2 as they need to be better. The only mod that took it negatively was H and basically talked, cover your ears if you don't like cursing. Shit. But I forgive him as I know he has anger issues, and I thought he genuinely felt bad due to the wordings in his due to the wordings in his apology.
Okay, wait,
So-
I feel like we should break this up slightly.
Mm-hmm.
You should never be in like a gaming situation where you have to forgive someone because you know they have anger issues.
Mm-hmm.
Like that should just not be a thing. Like if they can't keep cool and act appropriately and treat you with respect and behave safely, like that's not a thing you should forgive.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm talking
Right.
to you because me at your age would have done the exact same thing you did and just put up with it and be like, oh, it's not a big deal. They're just kind of like that. And he just needs more patience. And
Yeah.
evidently, when I'm talking about my younger self, I become a very valley girl. And this is how I talk.
Past you is very valley.
Yeah, but no, but seriously, like I like working fair and being involved in a lot of things where that are similar to like LARP type situations. Like you can become very unsafe very quickly if you forgive and you tolerate like things like that around you. So just
Mm-hmm.
put a pin in it and you have to evaluate it yourself, but you need to make sure that you aren't tolerating things that could put you in an unsafe situation.
Right, exactly. And I will point out that it sounds more like you were trying to set a boundary because things were happening that were outside of what you had stated the rules actually were. So first, and to me, and I mean, this is you're like me talking from a point of experience and not being in like in within that age range, but from a point of experience, generally when someone is upset with you for setting a boundary, it's not a you issue, it's a them issue.
Mm-hmm.
And that is something that I feel like there's value in thinking about that. Because at the end of the day, if it's a them issue, then you don't have to take that crap, basically.
Yeah,
Is
Absolutely.
I
the
think
bottom line.
yeah,
So,
there's game boundaries and disrespect boundaries,
Yeah.
and I think disrespect boundaries is 0 tolerance.
yeah, exactly. And this is just disrespectful. This
Mm-hmm.
the way it is sounding so far. You know. Shall I continue or do we
Yeah,
want to
there
talk
you
on
go.
this a little more?
No,
Okay.
I mean we can go back to it, but I think we
Okay.
needed to point that out right then. I think that was an important red
sure.
flag to point out.
That was my thing too. I was like, yep. Anyway, okay. So let's see. We were in okay. Uh So, a bit
Yeah.
more context. There's multiple planets. One is a magically tidally locked planet with a Goldilocks zone of life. The sun side has been made a tad more bearable due to tech and magic. This is relevant because H has been there since the introduction of the planet and the explanation on the sun side and how nothing can live. Problem arises when he didn't tell me that when his PC ran away from civilization, he made his own smaller one on the sun side. I told H that he needs to tell me that stuff, and I asked how would the group survive. Water eventually came up on the topic and he asked about plants, which I said there was none and tried to explain why. And he kept arguing about how that doesn't make sense as the Goldilocks zone gets rain, Spoilers, magic is why. I told him that he's arguing my notes and asked for space as I was getting irritated that he wasn't listening to me and didn't want to say anything bad, which I said. He even said he can't trust me as a DM and that he's
Oh.
disappointed. Oh, oh, I'm gonna.
No, no,
I
no.
want to finish. I need to finish. Shall I
Yeah.
finish?
Uh,
Because I'm just sitting here like,
Okay, it's a little bit longer, so I do. Why don't we pause for just a second, and
Yes.
we'll come back to all these things.
'Cause-
But
Whew.
yeah, especially in a LARP situation, like there's a lot of trust necessary at a gaming table for tabletop
Mhm.
RPGs. LARP is like the next step into immersion, and there's like you're there often with actual weapons, or I mean, even if they're like LARP weapons that are foam and stuff, like this person is acting very unsafe. You are the game master. I don't know 100%. Like LARPs vary so much from game to game about how specifically that works, and the mechanics with that. But the minute someone's like, "I don't trust you as DM," and I'm disappointed in you, it's like, who the fuck are you? Like, what
Yeah,
are you?
for real.
Yeah, like, I'm sorry. Like, are you
That
my
language-
parents?
Yeah.
What the fuck are you
that language
disappointed in?
the language feels very manipulative and it
Yeah.
feels like
Mhm.
it's designed so that they can get their way and have this thing that you don't want. And to like, I'm not gonna lie, the me that is today, that is not the me of that age, would literally be like, cool, if you don't trust me as a DM, the door is right over there. Goodbye. It was nice knowing you. Have fun finding another LARP. Bye.
Totally.
But look, because that would be like my red like line like in the sand, like don't cross here, sorry, goodbye. Like we're done.
Like it total like gaslighting vibes. Like,
Mhm,
oh, I can't believe you're
100%.
making that
Ugh.
decision. I'm so disappointed in you. Oh my goodness. It's like, okay, you don't want to run the game, you want to play and obviously be the star of it. But then when someone else is running it, you're gonna like nitpick it and get pissy every time you don't get your way. This is a nightmare person that you should not spend time with. Like
100%. I'm already like, nope, I'm out. I can't. I would be throwing shoes at that point. I'd be like, where's the chancla?
yeah.
Go.
Especially when it's like very clear, like, oh, we have this thing, and I hate it when you're like, okay, this is the world I've made, and someone's like, I'm sorry, this is not how science works, but they're not even doing that. They're like, well, yes, it doesn't work that way because of magic, and you're like, what? I'm the DM. What fucking magic are you talking about? Like, you don't get to just make magic. Like, I don't know. Okay.
Well, first of all, too, you even were kind enough to say I'm open to ideas as long as I've given permission.
Yeah.
This person didn't even ask you. They're just like, this is what it is, and you're like, no, that's not what happened. And then they were pretty much like, well, I'm disappointed, and it's like, okay, play another LARP. Bye.
That phrasing just pisses me off so much. Like, I'm so
100%.
like angry and livid for you. Like livid.
That's why I had to stop because I was like, oh no.
Yeah. Oh man. And I love that you've like come up with this whole planet thing and like the sun like makes it so
cool.
Yeah, some of it's not livable. And then he just like I guess the thing that pisses me off the most too is like you have this cool thing you created and he wants to go break the thing you made. Like he made this planet with this cool concept of like a sun side where they need like technology and like things can't really live there and plants can't grow there because it's so direct in the sun. And this person just was like, oh no, I'm gonna poke a hole in that and I'm gonna make it different from how you made it, just specifically that part. And you're just like, could you not poke the balloon I made, please? Like could you stop fucking with the thing I did? Like,
yeah, because it's super gross to have this person be a habitual line stepper.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, dude, like, respect me, respect the game. If you can't do that, like, there's the door.
Yeah.
For real. It just, yeah. Well, let's continue.
Continue reading. Sorry.
But wait, there's more.
No.
I wasn't angry enough. Cool.
Yep, right. He took that as initiative when I told him to stop texting me as I need space, to keep messaging me, demod me from his LARP, leave all of mine, all without telling me and unfriending me. I know I went wrong in demanding an apology in this scenario. Though, as of IRL, I have pain spikes due to my hips being funky and I was really not thinking well. I will stand that it was in fact wrong of me to do so, though. Though when he did apologize, in quotes, it was one of those apologies where he makes himself the victim and said, "I'm sorry
Yeah.
how I treated the friend, not the DM," then indirectly saying I don't listen to criticism and that I wear a crown. I sadly have PTSD with anger related people, and H is one of them. In one of my Discord servers, I vented about how I'm scared of him, no names, and how I hate it. He basically responded with saying I'm playing the victim. He then ended his own LARP, left everyone's LARP, and sent his partner after me, telling me I'm a bad DM when I never DM'd for them. They said that I have justice to talk on this as they DM'd for 3 years to 13 people IRL D&D. I've never met this partner before, ever, nor DM'd for them. H then goes to block and unfriend people he knew for multiple years, even calling me and 2 other non-involved friends the C word that I will not say on camera because it's very disrespectful, and talking about he knows who his quote unquote true friends are. In WWC, I added a new thing due to this for the mods to do before every session, which is a 30-minute meeting before the entire RP gathers to discuss plans, problems, and fixes.
Woo! Safety tools. We
Yes,
love it.
safety
We love to see
tools.
it.
I love that. Yes.
We love it.
We also stated not to ask about any drama or harass people because of it at pre-lobby of the event. Pre-lobby is before session for announcements and recap. All as suggested by my dad. Safety tools. We love that. Everyone I talked to said I wasn't in the wrong, as I genuinely tried to explain how it did work and explain that I like people finding out in character about lore and mechanics. And the only people to complain about DMing in 3 years over 30 plus players in multiple RPs was H and his partner, who only got what he screen recorded. Apologies for the long message. Ha ha ha. Thank you for possibly reading this. I think we read it.
We did.
But yeah.
Oh, okay. So,
Listen, Livity,
yeah.
you're a fucking
Yeah.
boss.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like, thank you for being the mature one. And I'm glad that this person took themselves out of your life, it seems like.
Yes.
Because fuck them.
Yeah.
Yep. The
You
trash
were not-
took itself out.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's like the only thing, like, like the minute that they requested, like, you requested space and they didn't respect that, like, block immediately.
Yeah.
Like, also, like, I know that's but old me who, like,
Mhm.
like, at 21, I feel like I would have been very similar to this also, where I would have been like, I was such a people pleaser, wanting to make sure everyone was okay,
Mhm.
especially when you take on like the role of responsibility of a GM or a DM or something like that. But yeah, no, you were not wrong for asking for an apology.
Mm-hmm.
They were completely out of line. You have no reason to have to placate this when you very clearly set boundaries multiple times.
Mm-hmm.
And multiple
Right.
times, these separate, different boundaries, they trampled all of them.
Yep.
Like,
Yep.
like at least from the way you've described this situation here, you did nothing wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. To quote Reddit, you are not the asshole
Yeah.
in this situation. At
Or
all.
you are
Like,
not overreacting.
No, this person really seems very disrespectful, and it's kind of a good thing that they left. Even if the way that it's very much, it's got temper tantrum vibes. Like, I'm throwing a tantrum because
yeah.
I can't have what I want.
My God.
And I'm just like, you don't need this person anywhere near you or your LARPs or any other games you run ever.
Mhm.
So it really is a blessing in disguise. But
Yeah.
there is nothing wrong with you saying, this is not how this works. These are my boundaries. But I do applaud you for implementing more safety tools
Yes.
to ensure that that doesn't happen
Love
again.
it. Yeah.
So that's, and hopefully you've run a billion different LARPs that are all great and wonderful with cool people that don't do stupid crap like this.
Yeah.
So-
Yeah. Now, some of this
Mhm.
will filter out as you get older. Like, just
Mhm.
heads up.
Mhm.
But also, heads up for internet, like, communities. If you're talking on Discord and venting in a Discord that you think is safe, and then this individual hears about it and responds and says you're playing the victim, that means that that Discord is not a safe place. That
Mhm.
means that they've
100%.
infiltrated it or have friends there or whatever it is. So I would just be more careful where, not because you have to respect them, not out of respect for them, but just to because they are obviously, as you said, have anger issues
Mhm.
and are continuing to kind of track what you're saying and look for ways to like get at you again and hit you through their partner or whoever it is, who honestly I don't know if it's their real partner or not. Like the first old internet Kimmy is like, oh no, that's not their partner. That's fucking a sock puppet. That's the same fucking person.
Mhm.
They've made this other fake person up. Like, I know, I'm
The
old.
sock
And
puppet.
I
I'm just
grew up on the
imagining-
internet. So I just-
I'm imagining a really hostile sock puppet right now, okay?
Yeah. Maybe that's an outdated term. I don't know. Oh my god, I feel so old this episode.
No,
All
you're
our bases
fine.
belong to us. Okay. But yeah, I mean, like they're obviously still obsessing about this. So I would personally, like, you know the situation better, but I would avoid this person at all costs.
Mhm.
I would not want to go to any LARPs they were running anyway because it doesn't
Mhm.
seem like they're a safe person.
Mm.
And I
Make
would,
the people in your LARP aware
yeah,
of how this
Yeah.
person is. So hopefully you can give yourself like some insulation around having that person if they were to show up.
yeah.
Yeah.
And
for
I would
sure.
just, and like, honestly, like, it can get so messy. Like, it can get so messy with gaming groups and especially LARPs.
Hmm.
LARPs are messy
Mhm.
places. So I would honestly try not to say anything about them specifically, other than they're not welcome here. We don't,
Mm-hmm.
we don't get along. We had a falling out. I don't want to talk about it. They're not welcome in my LARPs, and I just don't want to talk about them. And just like as much no comment about it for
Mhm.
the open group as you can, and then
Yeah.
just let your mods know, like, hey, this was not safe. This is why. It sounds like you do those meetings ahead of time now, so you've probably already done that with them, and just no commented as much to the open general population, and just like tell your friends, your close friends that you really trust about it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you're allowed to say like, hey, this, like be as honest as possible, like Kimmy said. But without rekindling the fire, giving more reason for this person to be upset with you all over again.
Mhm.
You don't want to do that, but also keep in mind that you have like there are things in place. You have safety tools in place, you have friends, and there's recourse in the event like things escalate, which hopefully they won't. But just in case, you have like there are things that you can do to protect yourself and protect others as well.
Yeah,
So
and you don't
keep
need
that
to
in
go.
mind.
Yeah, sorry.
No,
And
that's
you
okay.
you don't need to go through the laundry list of this happened and this happened, this happened.
Yeah,
Like
for sure.
succinctly be like, I laid down some boundaries for my own personal like well-being and safety, and so repeatedly ignored those boundaries and pushed past them till I no longer felt safe or comfortable. And when I try, and just period. That's it. That's all you need to say. You don't need to say anything about the online drama because it's so nice and like I love tea. I love drinking tea. I love pouring tea. I love hearing all the tea. I am such a messy bitch about that stuff. I love watching Desperate Housewife shows. I love all the mess as long as it's not my mess.
Yes.
So as long as I'm not actually involved in the mess, I love it. So people are gonna want all those little details. Just try and like stay above it. Be like, you know what? This is the basics. Boundaries were crossed. We've decided we're better out of not involved in each other's lives. Please respect that boundary. Period. And
Yeah.
as hard as that will be.
And also be aware that there could be a possibility that this person tries to worm themselves back into your life.
100%. And it seems like they're not really gone. Like they're still monitoring stuff and trying to be there. And their, girlfriend from Canada is like trying to. That's a really old meme too, Vixie. Let me explain that one to you. No, I'm just kidding.
Yes. I'm just like, what?
Oh my god.
I'm still on the sock puppet.
No, yeah. Girlfriend
Is the sock from Canada?
yeah, those are similar. Yeah. So in the early days of the internet, it was, and there's also like specific things. There's specific media that has taken it on, but saying, "Oh, I have a girlfriend, but she lives in Canada," was people who didn't actually have significant others would often kind of became another joke on the internet that you have a
girlfriend
significant
isn't real.
other. Do they live in Canada? They're like, yes, and they probably didn't exist. It's so much funnier when I explain things. Okay. Amazing.
Sorry.
It's okay. No, it's fantastic. It probably is actually either frustrating or funny to people who are listening. Oh, Mike's telling us that the Canadian girlfriend thing absolutely predates the internet.
Oh.
I heard about it on the internet.
We're
Early days of
Well,
the internet.
young again.
Fantastic.
Like 97 or so
Yeah.
when I finally got my internet access. Okay.
Woo. AOL dial-up tone here.
Yeah, it did. It got mailed, a little disc. It's very
Yes.
cool. Oh, my parents had no idea. Okay,
Oh,
let's
no.
continue. Let's
Yes.
continue. They're like, it's funny, nobody's called us in like a week. Yeah, weird.
Weird.
People are
Ooh.
busy. Busy.
Mhm.
It's not that I've been online constantly for a week. It is not because I'm playing MMOs that you don't even know what those are yet. Okay. All right. Let's go. All right. Mailbag number 3 from the archive 2019. Hey, Jackers, Slackers, and Patreon backers. Woohoo. I have a gamer horror story from VernCon 2017. It's a Chicagoland gaming con. Oh, I'm sorry. I think this one's from 2018. Sorry.
Okay,
I
okay.
updated at the beginning. I don't know why that matters, but I'm just being specific and accurate, I guess. Okay. Sorry. It's like Chicagoland Gaming Con that's the last/first convention of the year, as it often runs over New Year's Eve. Oh, that's kind of cool. Since you're in SoCal, you might not be aware of how cold it can get in Chicagoland at that time of year. This goes beyond the should probably wear long pants whether you consider cold. I feel personally attacked, and you can tell that they're a listener because I'm like, oh my God, do I have to wear a sweatshirt to the thing? It's gonna be so cold.
Oh my gosh.
I know, it's terrible. Here it gets so cold that ice, that stuff McDonald's puts in drinks to save money, can form outside. In fact, that's exactly what's happening outside the hotel the first night of the con. The rain was actually freezing on the sidewalk. Normally, the hotel would fix this by tossing some salt around to melt the ice, but tonight the salt was not enough to keep the sidewalk safe for people.
Wow.
Thus, the first part of my horror story. An unfortunate spill right outside the hotel doors. Nothing was
Yikes.
broken, but my gaming bag, and the new thermos I got from my employer's gift exchange got scuffed and scratched. Oh. The only slot from that evening was from 7 to 11 p.m., and I decided to try a new system still in its alpha stage. There were 2 other players and the GM. Since I was feeling stiff from the fall and another player was fighting a cold, all of us agreed we'd try to end the game early so we could get some extra rest. At first, the adventure went fine. We spent less than an hour making our characters. The game seemed simple and straightforward. The stats and skills were intentionally limited and broad in scope to make for faster play. The adventure that we were trying to stop the resurrection of the Mantis Queen. And as we explored the tomb, the GM would often remind us of how deadly and powerful the Mantis Queen was, and how it took the lives of many great heroes to defeat her. And her tomb even had a small terracotta army of magic soldiers who would fight to keep her from escaping. Oh, that's cool. We reached the final area where the cultists were starting to lower the sarcophagus of the Mantis Queen into the pool of green goop. By 10:30 p.m., we defeated the cultists, and it looked like the day was won, and we could look forward to the hero's reward of a good night's sleep. Instead, this is where the horror story continued.
Oh, man.
Oh, no.
No.
It feels like this is where it's starting. Okay.
Yikes.
Instead of ending the game early, as we agreed, the GM padded the game in at least 5 different ways. First, one of the cultists was still alive enough to release the mechanism and plunge the sarcophagus into the green goop. After some arguing with the non-sick, non-hurt player and our characters pulled the coffin out, but it was too late. The Mantis Queen returned from the dead, ready to wreak havoc on the world. Given the build-up the GM gave her, I did what I thought was the sensible thing and covered the party's retreat. The game mechanics allowed you to go full defensive, and doing so was the only thing that prevented me from being one-shotted by the Queen. This confirmed that the retreat was the only reasonable solution.
Oh, Lord.
The Queen summoned a giant creature that looked like a cross between a roach and a worm. Oh, God. To give chase, right? I have a weird personal story to share about this. We'll put a pin in it. The aforementioned terracotta army did nothing but get smashed to pieces. So much for Chekhov's gun. It would have been a Deus Ex Machina ending to have the army stop the queen and her monster, but it still would have been an ending. By the time the other gamers in the room had ended, by this time the other games in the room had ended and people were packing up to leave. Registration had closed.
Oh, man.
And the signs were being taken down for the night.
Big jar full of nope.
After a heroic sacrifice from the NPC, we ran out of the from an NPC. We ran out.
What?
Like that's less Deus Ex Machina. Like an NPC.
The heroic sacrifice would have been just to walk away from the table like, I'm out of here.
Well, it's an NPC. It's still like, why just have the army stop her? Like if you didn't have an NPC,
The army's
like
there.
it's fucking the army you made. You made it. Oh God. Okay, sorry. I'm fine. I'm fine. Feisty tonight. Goodness. Okay.
Yes.
We after a heroic sacrifice from an NPC, we ran out of the tomb, and our mage cast a ward spell on the door to keep them from escaping. The monsters made its own way out a moment later. We ran for our ship and headed down the river as fast as we could, but the monster not only still chasing, but gaining. By this point, it was about 11:15. No one else was in the room but a few people. They were probably staff members wondering when we would be done so they could log.
Oh, God. Oh.
It's like a restaurant worker's just like, could you just fucking eat your dessert, please, person?
Yeah.
Okay. The GM asked what I was going to do. I said I was leaving and collected my things. Good for you.
Mm-hmm.
After I left, exhausted, frustrated, wondering if the GM wanted a TPK or simply to punish us for not fighting his overpowered, hyped-up Mantis Queen. Instead of respecting the players' wishes, he chose to ignore multiple opportunities to end the story so he could stretch the adventure for too long. It's too bad my first experience with this game system was ruined by the GM because I think it has potential for new players and GMs alike. Now I probably won't touch the system again. Drink! Alvarant.
Water.
Yeah. P.S. The morning session was organized play, and the GM was 15 minutes late with no apology and spent half an hour researching the rules for something his son wanted to do.
Oh, boy.
At least it ended on time. Oh my gosh.
This sounds like one heck of a con, I'll tell you that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh, that sounds so frustrating. It kind of, okay, so I'm going to put on my game designer hat for just a moment, and it sounds like this person really wanted to test the mechanics. I mean, assuming it's the designer, I don't know, maybe not. But like wanted to test the mechanics of fighting the big bad, but like didn't pace their time right. So really what they should have done, if you're really doing playtesting at a con, you should just be like, hey, we're going to jump straight to this part because I want to test these mechanics. Or whatever. Or you skip character creation or whatever it is to save time. But especially when multiple people at the table are like, hey, we'd like to end a little early because of being sick. Also, like, what the fuck are you doing sitting at a table if you're sick? But I digress. You know, it's like, it is 2017 when people didn't care about such things as much as they should have. But yeah, like, it just seems like weird. I can see why it does seem punitive. It's like, oh no, and now, okay, you sealed the cave and then you keep going. And I don't know. It seems weird. What do you guys think?
I was just going to say the vibe that I got was Scorpion King. I don't know if Scorpion King had like come out at that time or whatever, but I was just sitting there like, did you just want that like Scorpion King moment of like the crazy undead powerful person coming to life? Because like in the thing, the player even said there were multiple opportunities for this to be over, right down to like, hey, you won, she didn't resurrect. Yeah. You know, that could have been it. I think, like, I agree with you. I think the pacing was off, but I also think that maybe the GM got too enthused about really pushing that story or this particular villain narrative because it could have been over easily. We never had to involve the super useless terracotta army that was just there for lawn decor, I guess.
But good thing that NPC was there because, like,
what?
But then it didn't matter that the NPC was there, right?
Why was there an NPC there? Like, you got a terracotta army. Random dude walks by and does like self-sacrifice. Like, what's happening?
I'm not gonna lie, like once they actually beat the adventure, I'm like, did the GM not expect them to be that fast? Like, did they just want to run late? Because the entire half of that with the terracotta warriors being useless and the sacrifice from the NPC feels a little contrived to me. Like you were
Mm-hmm.
trying to make it longer for no actual purpose.
Yeah.
And I'm just this is why I really enjoy the open table policy safety rule, because if at some point you want to go, you can just go.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that the player in this like scenario did that and was like, I'm out. I'm done.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Now, some GMs can't conceive of an ending other than what they've kind of planned out.
Mm-hmm.
I was on a stream once that was not for Happy Jacks. It was for another channel, and I was playing D&D, and I was used to like Happy Jacks. At that point we weren't even streaming. It was like a long time ago. But like I was used to doing like our recorded APs and having like, oh, this is like finding a good place to end for each session. And so like it started being like time for the stream for their game. And like I kept trying to like give the GM like an out for my character because I wasn't like a permanent player. Like I was there for like as like a one shot. Like they had an ongoing campaign and I was just guesting. So I was trying to give them like an out for my character that made perfect sense. And the GM just wouldn't take any of the hints. Like I was like, no, I will throw myself into this abyss to save you all. It'll be and it's just like and it was like, why are you saving my character? I won't be back. Like, what are you doing? Like, there's this cool kind of powerful moment like might happen and could like change the course of like the returning characters' lives, and then like.
Mm-hmm.
No, and so I guess I don't know what happens. Like my character still existed, and we weren't like a town for me to leave or anything. So I have no idea. But I was just like, okay, I finally just gave up. I was like, okay, cool. Like I'm not gonna do your job for you, like in front of other people, but whatever. So I feel like that there's also those vibes too. Like this GM imagined them fighting this Mantis Queen and was like really excited about it, and then like thought. There's also a lot of people who aren't used to running convention games who feel like you need like a big fight at the end to make people feel like it was worth it. And you usually don't. Like a lot of my games end without like a big fight at the end. You have to give them cool stuff to do, but it doesn't always have to end with this big climactic battle.
Yeah.
And a lot of GMs have it like drilled into them and just like, oh, this is canon. Like you must end your convention game with a big fight. So I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of elements.
That's kind of where I was like, the thing with the Mantis Queen at the end really felt like they wanted to use this particular villain the whole time and didn't get a chance to, or didn't find a way to. Because I'll admit, I've had my share of pacing mistakes. I just ran Virgins and Vixens and I made a pacing mistake that unintentionally extended the game for an extra hour. And I was like, oh, I could have. And like in retrospect, hindsight is 2020. I was like, I could have ended the game here. We would have had a happy ending. Would have ended on time. But no, my ass had to keep going. And you know, like I'll be the first to say that. But when it was less about the cat like having them face the big bad and more about giving them like a satisfactory ending that wrapped up their stories nicely. So I think that's where I'm kind of like, I'm like, could you have wrapped this up and ended everybody's like night in a conclusive way that like was satisfying before the Mantis Queen? You know, and if so, that could have been the stop point. You know?
Yeah, because I think like there's a term in professional wrestling called getting your shit in. And it's where like you have to get in all your moves, like your signature moves, so blah 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 blah, right? And I feel like what you guys are saying, like this definitely like is pinging that in my head that this DM had to get his shit in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just weird. And I mean, because it seems to me like that's such a cool ending. Like, hey, you stopped these cultists. Like they, you know, they didn't create, you know, do the ceremony. The Mantis Queen stays dead. Good job. Like that seems like such a perfect ending. Like, and it was like right on time. And I feel like that should, like I'm not one for like, oh, you have to always like I don't mind having some like sleight of hand and stuff like that as a GM to like make adventures exciting and fun for the players and switching things around. But like when they really do something like that really matters to the story, like, hey, you're trying to stop the cultists before they resurrect the Mantis Queen, and they successfully do that, it's shitty to then pull it, like...
Psych?
Yeah, like, just, like, pull the rug out from under them.
What happened?
Yeah,
That
like
was
you,
the other thing that got me. I was like, you had it right there. They had defeated the big bad without actually facing the big bad. They solved the problem, and then you were like, but actually, and I was like, but actually, nothing. It's done.
no, it's like they
I'm
finished it.
tired. I'm cold. My butt hurts. I need to go home.
Yeah, seriously. And they
Yes.
probably really liked the system at that point.
Mhm.
Like, there's nothing like when they have like the really cool like win under their belt. Like nobody like that's one of the best ways to sell a system is to have this cool epic moment that
Mhm.
everybody likes at the table, and then be like, oh, and that's an end, and then they just leave on like that high.
Yeah.
Like that is like
Right.
half of doing like promotional like runs of
Mhm.
a game to get people to love it and have that great happy memory of it. And like,
Yes.
because you get that like spike of endorphins, and you just like
Mhm.
leave the game, and you're like, oh, and you talk about it, and like then you probably get so excited that you run it again at 1 a.m, and that's a terrible idea. You should never do that.
Not from personal experience, right?
Not from a personal experience. Although that's how you and I became such good friends. So
Yes.
I get no regrets, but wow, was I tired.
Such a good game, though.
Yeah, but like, yeah, like you just that's part of like I don't know the magic or the marketing or the business side of it too is
Mhm.
like planning your sample games and your test runs and stuff so that people leave with like that good happy feeling. So
Right.
I can't imagine what this person was thinking unless they just really wanted to play test or use that magic the Mantis Queen and just couldn't
Right.
couldn't leave that night without it. And in which case you're like,
Yeah.
well, why did you have them fight all the cultists? Have
Mhm.
you know have the terracotta army rise and kill the cultists, but not in time, and then all they have to do
Right.
is fight the Mantis Queen and not the cultists.
Or
Like,
just
Mhm.
open with the Mantis Queen fight. Oh no!
seriously.
The
Mhm.
chain broke. She fell in.
Yeah.
What? She's alive now. Like,
Yeah.
there's a million different ways to handle it. But for me too, like it all goes back to if they were clear about what their boundaries were in the beginning. Like one person was like, I am sick and would like to leave early. The other person was like, I got hurt and would like to leave early. If your players have made that clear and abundantly so to you, it is important that you listen to your players as a GM.
Mhm.
Yeah,
And I feel like that's where it should have started. You know?
absolutely, especially when they were nice enough to still show up.
Mhm.
Like if I had like
Right.
fallen really hard and hurt myself, or if I was sick, like I would have just like not come. And honestly, if you're sick, you shouldn't go to a game. But like,
Mhm.
you know, I get it, kind of. Not really, don't do it. But
It was the before times.
the before
we knew
times.
Yeah,
now.
it's before
Yes.
times.
before I became the paranoid germaphobe I am now.
Yes.
But yeah, like they're showing you the respect of like not wanting to waste those seats at your table because they know you're probably really excited to run this game.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Like also show them respect and be like, oh, you've
Mhm.
asked to leave early, that's no problem. Or just give them the option, like, hey, I know you guys said you had to leave, like you guys can take off now if you want or whatever. And like, I don't know. That was definitely a frustrating horror story. Goodness gracious.
Mhm.
Thank you for sharing.
Yes. Thank you for sharing.
Again. Also, yeah, that sounds just like a really sad con experience.
Uh-huh. I was just like, oh, I hope you had better days at the con than that. for
Yeah.
Sure.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it sounds like you've been to this particular con many times. I definitely, even though I love the strategic con conventions, have had better and less good con experiences always. It's just, there's fluctuation from year to year in every convention. And sometimes when you sign up for games, you just never know. You never know what you're going to get.
True.
Box
Mhm.
of chocolate, something, insert here. Do you get
Yeah.
that reference, Dixie?
Yes, I
Okay.
do. I did watch Forrest Gump. Okay.
Just checking. Just checking if I'd explain another one. Okay. Thank you for joining us for season 35, episode 10 of the Happy Jacks RPG podcast. Please support our amazing indie designer of the month, Jean-Luc from The Dungeons Key at thedungeonskey.com. Thank you to our chat mod, James V, and to all our amazing Patreons who keep us ad-free and independent. You can join their ranks at happyjacks.org/Patreon. Once again, we have officially switched to their official monthly subscription model. No more like jury rigging it with like a one monthly like post or whatever. And we're still grandfathered in on the original Patreon rate from like 10 years ago. So we have like a
Yay.
very small percentage that they take, which is also exactly the same as the lowest rates on most other like Patreon type platforms like Coffee and all those. So
Yes.
all good news all around. So if you're still supporting us there, thank you for doing that. If you've decided to move on, I totally understand. Times are tough. But we appreciate every bit we can get. All of it does, actually all of it and more does go to keeping the studio air conditioned, especially in the summers that are going to get very hot very, 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 very soon. And mini fridge full, electricity, etc., etc., etc. All right. My name is Kimmy. She, her. You can find me at Golden Lasso Games and Golden Lasso Girl on. Well, I really only interact on Blue Sky now. So, like,
That's just it.
yeah, there's other accounts on other places, but most of it's like auto posts of my, hey, this is
Or the Reddit forums about tortoises.
yes,
Yes.
yeah. Or, like just today, but and yeah, I am on Reddit a lot with multiple accounts. I have sock puppets there. I'm just gonna say,
And girlfriends from Canada. Yay!
my girlfriend from Canada.
Canada.
All right.
Okay.
Yes.
Oh, Eli, he, him, fuck my social media. Be kind to yourself and give people grace that deserve it.
Yay! Hi, everybody. My name is Vixie Bell, and I've been your friendly neighborhood player here, or player. I've played a lot, but this week.
Player?
But hi, everybody. My name is Vixie Bell, and I've been here at the Happy Jacks podcast, looking at these horror stories, going, why? You can find me pretty much most places on social media, either at Vixie Bell or at Pocket Dragon Pub. Mostly, I'm active on Instagram and Blue Sky. Everything else just sort of exists because I don't have the time to scrape all that crap. Because I definitely need to get off the hell site. That's on my to-do list at some point.
Yes.
But yeah, that's me. Yay!
I love the first reaction to I have to get off the hell site is like, which one?
The answer is yes.
The main one.
Yes.
The one that's got that musky scent.
Yeah. Anyway, thank you for joining us. I actually, give me half a second. Anything else to plug, anyone, while I switch the music, which I completely forgot to do earlier?
The Pocket Dragon Pub is finishing its FemGM month. We are
Oh, yeah, that's
spotlighting FemGMs. We are actually also raising funds for the Malala Fund as well, which helps women get at least 12 years of education and supports their education internationally. They're also trans inclusive, which I really appreciate as well. So yeah, that's definitely something that the Pocket Dragon Pub is doing, and hopefully I can. If we're planning some cool social media promos as
Yay.
well. But yeah.
Fantastic. All right. There's plenty of time. Thank you so much. We're closing tonight with a song called Isn't It Grand Boys, which is by the world famous Poxy Boggarts. And it is a very dark humor song about a funeral, which seems appropriate after the trauma of these last two funerals. But I personally love the song. So yeah,
Yay.
thank you so much. And we will see you all next week. Bye.
Night night.
Look at the car.